Formatting quotations for song lyrics is like formatting quotations for lines of a poem. So if you are quoting 3 or fewer lines of a poem, or any lines of a poem, you're going to use in the parenthetical citation, this stuff in parentheses, you're going to put the line numbers, and you're going to actually write the word line or lines. Line if you're citing one line, lines if you're citing more than one line. You're also going to notice the little forward slashes when you are quoting 3 or fewer lines. Those slashes show where the line breaks are in the original format of the poem or song lyrics. So to start a quotation, you always need to use your own words before you start quoting something, and that still applies when you are quoting song lyrics or lines of a poem. You can choose to use a full sentence before your quotation marks, but if you do that, don't end that full sentence with a period. Use a full sentence, which we would just call an independent clause, to introduce the quotation, but end that independent clause with the colon there. The colon says, and here it is. So when you introduce the lines of this poem with the speaker in the poem clearly demonstrates the difficulty of his choice, the colon says, and here it is. Here's that demonstration. Here's that difficult choice. And then you would quote the lines of the poem or song that illustrate that. And that's what this person has done. This writer has quoted 3 lines of a poem, and the forward slashes show where each line break would be in the original poem. So we see the person has quoted lines 3 through 5. So we have a forward slash after line 3 and a forward slash after line 4. And as with most lines that you or quotations that you use, the period goes after the parenthetical citation unless you have a block quotation format. But when all the quotation is just in line with the rest of your paragraph, put the period after the parenthetical citation. You can also introduce your quotation with a dependent clause or just a signal phrase, and when you do that, you should use a comma after the present tense verb. When you're writing about literature, or generally in MLA format, we introduce quotations with present tense verbs. So it's not that Amy Grant sang, it's Amy Grant sings, present tense, followed by a comma, and then the line of the song or poem that you are quoting. If you want to quote more than 3 lines of the poem or song, and you certainly may do that, you can do that with using the block quotation formatting. That means introduce the quote with an independent clause. That's preferable for block quotations. It's a more formal way of introducing a quotation. That means a full sentence followed by a colon, and then give the lines of the poem or song the way they appear in your original printed out formatting. In this formatting, we don't have quotation marks around what we're quoting. If you have something in quotation marks within the poem or song, you could leave those as standard as they appear just on the sheet of paper where the song is printed or the poem is printed. Notice that here for a block quotation, you end with a period at the end of the quotation and no period goes at the end of the parenthetical citation. Now, if it's the first time you are quoting from the song or poem and it's not clear from your introductory phrase who the author is, then you will include the author's last name. There is no comma or anything between the author's last name and the word lines, and then the line numbers. But for the rest of the time, you can just put lines and put the line numbers there. Now, I will show you a demonstration of quoting song lyrics in various ways in the sample. Here is a block quotation because I'm quoting more than 3 lines. And I introduce the song or the quotation from the song with an independent clause followed by a colon. And then I give you the lines that I'm quoting. Every time you write the title of the song, you should have the title in quotation marks. Another example of quoting one line of the song is the lyricist's claim is my signal phrase. That's present tense verb, followed by a comma, and then the line of the song that I'm quoting. Notice there's no period at the end of the quotation. The period goes after the line number in parenthetical citation. Let's see, here's another example of quoting one line of the song. I have introduced this line of the song with an independent clause, even though it's not a block quotation. I just wanted to have a whole sentence to express what the reader could expect to see in my line of the song that I was using to illustrate this point. So instead of ending with a period, I connect my full sentence to the quotation from the song with a colon. There is no period at the end of the quotation. The period goes after the parenthetical citation. When I'm quoting 3 lines, I have done so here. I will show the line breaks as I see them on the printed page of song lyrics or poem. I will show those line breaks with a / when I'm quoting 3 or fewer lines. This one I've introduced with a signal phrase with a comma after the present tense verb, and then I give you the 3 lines showing you the line breaks with a / And in this case, I will not have the period at the end of the quotation. It goes after the parenthetical citation. It's only for a block quotation format that you put the period inside the quotation and you don't have quotation marks around the whole thing. The blocking tells you it's quoted material, kind of like this. So that is it. Make sure that you are aware of how to format quotations for lines of poems, and let me know if you have any questions.